So a little bit about ModelRisk and Vose software, right? Vose software, it's a software company whose head office is in Belgium. Um, they have more than 25 years with really high and top-notch expertise in quantitative risk analysis. At the beginning, they started as consultants, and then now they have developed as a software for risk analysis and risk management powerhouse. So it's really neat, all the software that they have and all the things that they can offer. Currently, they have 3 core products. One is ModelRisk, which is, I think, 19 years in the market. And I know that we have Timur here, the director of Vose software, which is great. So if you can interact in the chat, Timur, that would be great. Or if you want to talk, let me know and I will open the mic. So it's up to you. And we have Tamara, which is quantitative risk analysis on top of project models like Primavera or MS Project, and Pelican, which is an enterprise risk management software that also forms like an ecosystem, right, with these 3 software together, right? So this is Vose software. A little bit about us, about Perryfield. Perryfield, we're partners in crime with Vose software, so we've been working with them for the last couple of years, and we're in charge of doing consulting for them, doing training for them, and today we're going to show one of the nicest things that you have in ModelRisk, which is automating things with it, right? We have expertise in several areas, like, for example, energy, infrastructure, financial services, technology, and manufacturing. Right? And we have a group of consultants worldwide that can help you with that. So right now with Vose software, we've been doing works in, well, in, I don't know, Germany, Saudi Arabia, Africa, Brazil, etc. So we'll be all around trying to spread the word and, of course, give the people a chance to work with their products, which are amazing. So what is it that ModelRisk does? And then I will introduce to Ruben and the presentation. So remember that we're here because I assume that you all know a little bit about Monte Carlo simulation. So you will remember that Monte Carlo, you will have a model like the one that I have here. This model could be an NPV calculation. It could be a cost estimation. It could be anything, right? The model that you have here. And what we do, what ModelRisk does, it's all the variables that you have in the model, all the variables that you have there, it could be any number of variables, you will replace them with distributions, right? That's what you will do. You will replace them with distributions. You have more than 130 distributions to choose from in ModelRisk. So the idea is that if you have, for example, an NPV model and you have your CapEx here, so your CapEx is going to be replaced by a distribution. Maybe your growth is another distribution. Inflation is another distribution. And then you run the model thousands of times, and the model is recalculated. So you will have, instead of 1 NPV, which is the traditional Excel modeling, you will have 1,000 NPVs or 10,000 NPVs. And when you have that, of course, that's very powerful because you added uncertainty in the model. You see that everybody talks now about uncertainties and uncertain environments and all that. So Monte Carlo simulation has been there from the 1960s or 1950s. And this is how you calculate and quantify uncertainty, which is great. So what we're going to do, of course, with the results, we're going to present them as histograms like that. So that's what ModelRisk does. You see the ModelRisk in Excel, that it's an add-in to Excel. Now, what Ruben is going to show us, right, is the automation capabilities. There are 2, right? One is the RDK, right, which is the ModelRisk development kit. That means that inside of Excel, you can run automations. And the other one is called the SDK, or software development kit, which is outside, and this is very interesting, outside of Excel, you can put all of this to your service, meaning that you can power an application, or you can develop some models that, for example, you have some financial models and you need Python to run it. That's perfect because you can have the SDK running in your Python. So instead of you having sometimes to develop things that are already developed, you can use Vose software's SDK that it's pretty neat, and Ruben is going to show us that. So I think that we can start with you, Ruben. You can take control and explain to you the model. Meanwhile, I will just introduce you. Ruben has been working in this arena for the last 18 years, if I'm not mistaken, right? And we were colleagues at Palisade for more than 10 years, and he's an outstanding developer. And he also knows, of course, Monte Carlo, and he was part of customer support too. So he knows the whole area, and and he has a very comprehensive view of the industry. So I will turn off my camera so you can do it, and let me know if you can see if you can share your screen.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Gustavo. As Gustavo mentioned, I'm a software developer. I'm in the industry for 18 years so far. I've been working with this kind of model with Gustavo, as he says, in Palisade. And what is the big problem that the users always have with this problem is the time that take to build a model, add the information, add the formulas, add the distribution, and then run the simulation. So this is something that can take hours, days, or months. So the idea in this part is to use, let me share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, go ahead. Make it a little bit bigger so we can all see, but it's perfect.
Yeah. So the idea is to move from this set of data and have a model like this at the end. So this is a model, a basic model where I have my values for the mean, most likely max, and then have my distributions and my output variable. So after running the simulation, I'm going to have the report and all the information that you need. So let me close this one here because I don't need it. The idea is that you only have an option to click a button, go to your source data. In my case, it's this one here. And the application is going to build the model, run the simulation, and generate the report, something like similar like this. You can see this part here. So what the process did is take the information from my input file, the first one that I show you, take that information, build the model, add the formulas, add the distribution. In my case, I'm using a per distribution, and I have my output. So after running the simulation, you can review all your data. For example, here you have the output that have the percentiles and everything. So this will save you a lot of time, because if you need to update your data every time for reporting, send that information to your team, is only just click a button, select the information, and the process will do the rest. So this can be applied for different models. This is a basic model, but you can have the picture that if you have multiple spreadsheets that you need to update the information and use that information in your analysis, this type of automation will save you time. So then at the end of the process, you can review the information and see if you need to adjust something or you need to add any further information for your analysis. And so those are some use cases that you can have. Maybe you, Gustavo, can elaborate a little bit more with how this can be applied.
Oh, definitely, and thanks for that, Ruben. I was making a little fun over there, because this was much faster than the rehearsal that we had a couple of days ago. So it was really fast, and you see that it was so fast. I'm not sure if everybody picked everything that you did. That remember that Ruben opened a file that had only estimation parameters, and then this file was converted to a distribution. The distributions were added, and then once they were added, and then I will exactly, you see, that was the only thing that Ruben added. So once these distributions were selected, that means that you can put somebody to have this in a different sheet, or somebody from the team, or this could be generated by AI or something. This could, you see, that was copied out, and then Ruben added the distribution, added the output, run the simulation, and run a report. and you have the PDF of the report. So imagine if you do VAR calculations, if you do contingency calculations, or if you do project controls and you have a lot of projects there, right? So this is going to be really, really good for you, as the automation is going to take place almost immediately, right? So that's a very nice example of what you can do with that. So that's one thing. And the other is, typically you have templates. Normally people have financial templates. For example, you need to generate reports from Excel for a lot of clients or for a lot of departments, and then you go one by one, and then you have to run a simulation and things like that. So this can really help. The good thing is that the development kit comes with ModelRisk. So if you have ModelRisk, you can just do it right away. That's a nice thing about that. You can just do it right away. And of course, we can definitely help you with that. That's why we brought Rubén here. But if you know how to do VBA, you will have that, and you have some documentation as well. So there's nothing between you and a really nice weekend coming ahead when you do and automate your stuff. And if you need our help, again, we can definitely help. So that's the first use case. The first use case. The second use case, you can share your screen, Rubén. The second use case is going to be one with the SDK. So remember that that's the software development kit. And the software development kit lets you run and create simulations and Monte Carlo simulations outside of Excel. Right now we have it inside of Excel. So if you are into code, well, you just let us know, and we can go and take a look to the code a little bit in depth at the end of the presentation. And Rubén is showing it right away, right? All the things that you do, but maybe he can explain what he did using Python, I guess. So I will give you the floor, Rubén.
Yeah, thanks, Gustavo, for that introduction. Yeah, as Gustavo mentioned, Vose has a library that runs in Python, but this library as well can be used in C# and C++ as well. But for the demo, we are using Python that basically is the same model that I show you in Excel. Let me move this one here, where I have my variables here, my distribution, and my output. So that is basically what is doing here. So I have my definition. So I have to define my variables here, and then add the information to those variables and define the distribution. So this is how it is working. And my output is going to have the total of that information. And in this part, I enter the information manually, but you can use any source, any data source. You can select from an Excel file, from a JSON file, from a CSV file, or if you have a database, you can pass that information as well through to this method, and then just send the information to the distribution. So this is not just that you need to enter the data manually. It's a process that you can easily automate to get information from any data source that you need. And then when you have that information, run the simulation, and then you will have all the information, the results like mean, media, max, standard deviation, percentiles. Also, if you need your sample data for the input and outputs, also you can have that information. So let me run the process here. I'm showing you Visual Code. You can run that file from any command line, but for the demo, I'm using this one here. So let me run the process here. So when the process complete in this example, this is going to create an Excel file with the information that I need to produce a report. Maybe you can connect this information with a Power BI report or with Google Docker. Also, this information you can send a different data file that could be JSON or CSV, or directly to a database that is going to send that data to your report. So as you can see here, I have all the samples from my variables here for every interaction that I have. Also, I can produce a report, something like this, with I have the percentiles and the summary of the statistic that I have. I have this file connected to a Power BI report. So let me load this one here. Give me a second, it's loading. So you can then produce reports similar to this or something better with that information. So for example, here I have the data that I just generated with the simulation process. And then I produce an histogram where I'm also showing some of the statistics as well at the top. Or if you need a different report, you can create a scatter plot, compare with the input versus the output information for you to analyze, or you can create a tornado graph as well. So it's this up to you how you want to use that information to create a report. Also, as Gustavo mentioned, this is something that is running outside Excel. So you don't need Excel to produce the information or to run the simulation. If you have the data, the logic of the model, you can build the model in Python, or you can build the model in C#. I will show you an example later in that part. But basically, it is the form that you need to represent the model. So you define your variables, then you have your values, and the calculation, they could be different. It's not something that is mandatory that you can have this, and then run the simulation. For example, I have another example here this is with C#, that basically it does the same thing. Here I have my variables here, and then I pass the information to them to produce the simulation. This is a different model. When I run this process, I will have an output information, something like this. You see? So you have all the results from the Monte Carlo simulation that then later on you can use in a report like Power BI, Google Docker, or any application report that you are using at the moment. So with this data, you have a lot of options that you can use to reproduce any report. Maybe Gustavo, you can add additional thing here.
Yeah, I think that this one is very important because we know that some people are migrating, or sometimes they are utilizing already Python to do a lot of these things. And the main idea is that we can give them an alternative, right? And this is a really top-notch, valid alternative from a company that it's 25 plus years doing this. And that was the main idea of today. So remember that the SDK that you just showed, it was added as a library to your Python or your C++ or C# environment. And then you can generate random numbers, you can create input distributions, you can generate the output result. You see, it was very, very fast because, of course, you don't have Excel in the middle. You don't have this visualization / calculation layer. So with that makes the calculation really, really fast, and we can apply this to really, really deep mathematical models, financial models, sometimes trading models, etc. So basically, we're bringing ModelRisk's power to Python, right, or to any other language like Rubén showed. And some use cases that we brainstormed, that we know that we've seen it during the years, is that optimization applications, simulation frameworks, right, applied to different. I remember that some oil and gas companies utilize this to calculate reserves. Sometimes people have their own ERMs or risk calculation models, and they use very, very basic simulation engine. So with that, they will have a really, I would say, serious and powerful library into their hands. And of course, this could be added now that we live in this AI/automation platform. So we have Zapier, we have IFTTT, we have N8N, etc. So you can run this Python from any AI environment, like for example, an AI ChatGPT agent or something like that. This is you can just tell, run the simulation, and the agent is going to run it because you have this context there. So my recommendation would be try it out. Of course, we're going to leave us our contact information, but you can try it out and see how it is, because it's outstanding. The code is very simple to use, and for a developer, it's not something that is going to require, I don't know, days to understand. This is going to require hours. So that's the good thing. It's like any programming language that you just have to learn how to set up, the different elements and make them work together. So the last example.
Gustavo,
Go ahead,
sorry
please.
before moving to the next example, as I mentioned, it's not necessary that you have Visual Code. If there is some programmers here that say that if I need only Visual Code, if you have the Python code and the SDK library, you can run easily. If you have Python installed in your computer, you can use a command line like I'm showing here. I don't know, you can see my screen, but it's only to I think I'm not showing my screen. Let me show.
Yes, please go ahead, no problem.
Yeah. Okay, so as I said, you can use a command line to run the same Python code that I run easily. Just type in the Python code command, sorry, and then call the Python file, and then just enter, and it is going to do the same thing. Generate the sample, get the result, percentile, save my Excel file, or send that information to a database. Well, this is up to the user how they can use that information at the end of the day. But this is something that can be used right now in an Azure environment where you have everything in the cloud, that you have your data, just pass the data to that environment and get that information from that data source and just run the simulation. So that is how this can work.
Thank you, Rubén. Thank you for the clarification. And also, one important thing is that what Rubén showed is that you see that with the data that you obtain, you're not bounded to use any type of visualization engine. In this case, he used Power BI, because it's like the default for every company. But you can use Flourish, you can use Polymer, you could use Tableau, you can use ClickView, anything that you want, or the report that you have at your company. So very important that here, when you move to this world, to the side of the development, right? When you have it in Python, you can do anything, and you can put it into a data set, or you can put it into a data frame and do things from Python as well. So I will leave it to you, Rubén, to show us the third example, and thanks for the comment.
Okay, thanks. Well, the last example that I have is everything in a web environment. In this example, what I did is I have my backend that is running the service, is in charge to run the simulation, to take the data from the data source, or maybe you can build something different that the user can define the information, the distributions, the parameters for every distribution, then say this distribution is going to affect this output. And then when you have the model, you just need to have something like this, that you can define how many interactions you want to run, define the histogram part, the information that you need to show. So in this case, this is a front end that is using React for the front end, and the back end is using Node.js, is some frameworks that I use to build this. What is that is run the simulation, the exact simulation for the model that I show you at the beginning of the presentation. Is just click the button and the process is going to run, and then have a custom dashboard, like something similar like this. So it's not just that you need to say, I have to use Power BI or Google Docker or any application that can produce a report. You can do your own reports in the web environment that you can add. For example, here I have an histogram, but you can add maybe a scatter plot, or you can create a tornado graph or any other graph that is helpful for your analysis. Also, as Gustavo mentioned something of AI, in this example, I have my AI insight. What I did here is just add an OpenAI to analyze my result and give me an insight. it's just an example, is a demo. You can improve this part. Maybe you can add a better prompt, or you can add a prompt that you can say, I would like to analyze my results. How can I improve this information if I use a different distribution or something like that? You can do it in this kind of approach. Also, I have here, as before, my summary of the results, where I have the mean, standard deviation, mean, max, risk ratio. And also I have the samples preview of my output. So I have here, as I had a limitation here of 2000 because it's for the performance, but if you have a powerful system, you can have all of your data if you want. But in my case, I'm running this locally, so that is why I have this limitation. But you don't have a limitation if you have a better environment. You can show every sample for example, for the inputs and the output. You can have that information here, or internally you can use that information to produce a different report. Yeah, so this is another approach that you can have if you say, well, Excel is not any longer an option for my analysis. I would like to have something different, something that I can share with my team or with my customers, or something that I can take with me that I can use over the phone, because this is a web. You can open any browser in any part of the world and can run the simulation easily with your data. Those are some of the examples. Maybe you, Gustavo, can add more here in this part.
Yeah, this goes in line to what you were showing before, right? Remember that the first one was more from the development side, right? How is it that you develop from the command line? How is it that you will get information? And now we're making this information available for everyone. So one way of doing that was with what Rubén did with the last model, because he could, for example, save the information to a Power BI database, and the Power BI is going to refresh, and then you will see the information. That could be one way. The other way, you see, that's a batch way. That's something that you will have to prepare every day. But in this case here, you see that the simulation was real time. That means that, as Ruben well said, any user can generate this and other reports very simply without having to have Excel or having to have a Power BI license. You can just put this engine into your application and run simulations. The good thing is that you have access to all these distributions that we were talking about and all this functionality from the library, which is great, right? So the main idea of today's session, right, was to showcase to all of you how is it that Vose is approaching all of this, plus the combination that Ruben did with the AI insights, right? That's very powerful because he took the output of the simulation and put it as an input to a, I don't know, ChatGPT prompt, or you can do that with any prompt that you have in your company. So all of these things are integrated now together, which make them very, very powerful, and they are at your fingertips. So the main idea, and I'm going to share my screen a little bit here. I'm not sure if you can see it. I think so, right? Yeah,
yes.
You can see it, right? So that's the idea, right? Any application that requires simulation, ERMs, for example, if you have your own calculation of risk, we know that sometimes companies, they have proprietary systems, so they can use it. Oil and gas, the one that I showed you before, energy models, I've seen that too, with energy models that you can connect and you can run simulations on the web, right? All of these things can be built using the SDK, right? In terms of code, I'm not sure, nobody asked any question about that, but you will be sent this this presentation, and this presentation will have these snippets of code. And if you're more interested, you can send me an email, right? So we can talk together, and Ruben, and see what is it that you need and what is the solution that you need. You see that sometimes you would like to go first with the solution of Excel automation. Then you will go to the Python. Then you go to the next step in the Python, or you already have an application that's big and you need simulation on top of that. So whatever your level of maturity, let's say for applying this, we've seen through years with Ruben how automation really improves the quality of life of people, right? Because you don't have to do lots of repetitive work, which is prone to errors. Now you just have to push a button and see that everything was correct. Right? And normally this is very, repetitive tasks that you will have to automate now. So I'm not sure if you have any questions. If somebody has any questions. Well, if not, you will receive an email with the presentation, and the next week we're going to upload the video. So thanks everybody for joining. Yeah, I know it's a Friday. Sometimes it's afternoon for you guys. So and I think that with this, I hope you can find another solution to some things that perhaps you're doing manually, and you have to program everything, and perhaps you have a better library to use, right? So thanks everyone for joining. I will stop sharing, and you have my email there.